If I could have everybody's attention, if you start finding your seats tonight, we're about to start the program in about 2 minutes. So please find your seats. We're about to start this thing. Thank you. Welcome everyone. If you please take your seats, we're about to start. My name is Bill Carnes. I have served as the chairman of the United Republican Party for, probably 6 years, 4 different terms over the last dozen. I am happy to welcome everyone here to these debates. We're going to be doing U.S. Senate and also Commission Districts. We were going to do Congressional District 4. We're also going to have a few other U.S. Senate candidates. I want to let you know why some of these candidates are not here. There is another event in Las Vegas known as the Keystone event. There's a Keystone organization. Keystone is a conglomeration of business people who are very interested in seeing conservative things happen. And the way that they get those conservative things done in Washington, D.C. is they pay for their political votes. So there are a number of people from CD4 and some of the missing Senate candidates who are not here that decided to go to the Keystone event. And it seems as though vying for money from a political PAC to buy your votes is contrary to the grassroots efforts that we have today. So I think the more dedicated candidates are the ones that you're going to see here tonight. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to remind everyone that if you ever go to the DMV, you have to then check to see what your voter registration is, because there's so many automatic things. You very well may have had your voter registration switched when you went to the DMV without knowing. So you can always look that up online, and you can get a hold of the Secretary of State's office and find out from them precisely what your voter registration is, as well as the county clerk's office. From there, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matt Sadler, who's going to be emceeing this event tonight, put this whole thing together with his group. Please, round of applause for Matt Sadler. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate being here. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for those words. They're very timely, and I cannot argue with one thing you said.
So, on behalf of Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada, I want to welcome everybody to the 2003 Republican primary debate in Town Hall, featuring candidates for the United States Senate and the Nye County Commission. I'm your host and moderator for today's debate, Matt Sadler, but lucky for those in attendance, I've had an army of support for this town hall, and at this time, we're going to go to the Lord in prayer. And I'd like to ask Pastor John Jimenez if he would kindly come up and lead us in this invocation.
Good evening. Thank you all. I want to extend my gratitude to Matt and his family and to the community. But most of all, I want to thank the Lord for bringing me here in 2013. Me and my wife, for those of you who do not know, we have a ministry of freedom from addiction. It's called U-Turn for Christ. And according to the Word of God, I am an ambassador for Him. So I am going to speak what He's taught me to speak. Amen? Amen. So, just so you know, this is the original Facebook. The Holy Spirit gave me that about a year and a half ago, and that's what I speak. You want your life to be changed forever, keep your face in this book. Amen. And it will do that. Amen? Amen. So, as an ambassador for Him, I will read this to you all. Romans 13:1. The Word of God says this. After I read this, I'll pray for us. Amen. It says, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities. Period. There is no authority except from God. The authorities that exist are appointed by God. Verse 2, therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God. Those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. So, Lord, I'm grateful, thankful for what you've done in my life. I'm thankful that you brought me here to this community to speak words of life to those who don't know you. I pray, Lord, for everyone who's running, who's here tonight, who's come from far away. I pray, Lord, that you would put in place those who you want in authority. Lord God, we know that you are sovereign. We pray for our community, our country, our nation, and the world, all the things that are going on. Help me, Lord, that I can help others. With the power of your Holy Spirit, I pray these things. And I pray for these people here tonight who are speaking. May their words be a blessing to you, God. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
So we're going to keep this going right now. If everyone could stand with me for a moment. As you know, many conservatives and many southern Nevadans say that our culture is in decline. Our future is scary. Sometimes I fear that they're right, and every now and then you find hope for the future. There are fine young people in our Nevada towns, even right here in Pahrump, who are growing into fine young men and women. Today, it's my privilege to welcome one of these fine young ladies to the stage to lead us in the national anthem. Please give a round of applause to Pahrump's very own Adelaide Bosque.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight or the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much, Natalie. Great job. Today's event is brought to you by the Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada and the Nevada Patriot Podcast. The equipment, sound, and wonderful music that you're seeing today is courtesy of Pahrump NV on DJ Sounds. Thank you, Will Castillo. And this event would definitely not be so polished without your efforts, Will. One more quick shout out, I hope Belmont's for sponsoring the food and overhead tonight so that all revenue, that's every dollar that's collected there from the food and drink sales in the back, is going directly to this awesome local charitable organization to U-Turn for Christ, Pahrump Valley. Also, I want to thank the many volunteers from our GCON group, U-Turn for Christ, and everywhere in between. I want to give a special message of appreciation to tonight's timekeeper, President of the Pahrump Valley Republican Women, Stephanie Hashiburna. Thank you for taking it on. And Godspeed, that's a tough assignment. That was super hard. Finally, I want to thank these wonderful candidates for stepping up and coming directly to you, the voters. They are looking to work for you, and they need to work for you. Our elected officials work for us, and these folks understand that. Let's give a round of applause to our sponsors, volunteers, and debate participants. Thank you all so much. And at this point, I want to welcome our United States Senate Republican primary candidates to the stage. So come on up. And a quick round of applause. Thank you guys for showing up. Everybody's welcome, and I appreciate that.
I thought it would be better than last night's debate.
Okay, so if anyone was curious, the seating arrangement today that you're seeing up on stage was based on the order of the candidates on how they committed to our event. So candidates closer to the center are to be first, and from the audience point of view, from left to right, we have Barry Lindemann, William Conrad, Stephanie Phillips, Tony Grady, and Roger Cunningham. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we appreciate you coming out today. Going over what else on this great organization, PahrumPNV.com. So restaurant, there's no restaurant in the back. There are restrooms in the back of the venue. I don't recommend eating there. Last chance to submit a ticket to get a chance to ask this debate panel in particular a question for the town hall portion. In a moment, I'm going to ask our volunteers, well, in a moment, if you time it out, a couple minutes from now, if you want to bring those to me, any last second questions for the Senate panel, that'd be greatly appreciated. And we politely ask you to silence your cell phones once our debate starts. This debate in Town Hall is being live streamed on Facebook under the Nevada Patriot Podcast with Matt Sadler and YouTube, and it will be uploaded to Rumble by Saturday. The keyword search would be the Nevada Patriot. Tell all your friends and family who can make it here tonight, please. I want to take a little time to speak candidly, kind of piggybacking on somewhat on some of the things that Bill had touched on. Now, I know as candidates get busy during the election season, they have competing events and choices to make on the campaign trail. I get that. I was a candidate once upon a time. And to be clear, all of the filed U.S. Senate candidates have been invited through multiple channels. So I and my team have reached out in multiple avenues to the other candidates as well. I guess a simple response of no thank you would suffice, but I mean, I can candidly say that many of them just pretty much ignored this venue. And yeah, I might take a little offense at that, but that's not a reason to completely avoid supporting them, so don't think that's what I'm mentioning. I do, however, want to make another honest assessment. I'm urging you to deeply consider supporting some of the candidates you see before your eyes tonight. The majority of the folks on these panels absolutely jumped at the opportunity to join this debate and connect with you, the voters, directly. And it's not out of desperation, not out of compulsion, but because they understand how important it is to connect with the Nevada voters everywhere, not just in the large urban areas like Las Vegas or Reno. They're coming to us to not only make the case for why they deserve your vote, but also to hear from you. I truly believe they are looking for your input. This input can help shape policy in Pahrump, Nye County, and in the entire state of Nevada, and for that matter, the United States as a whole. Our community should take advantage of this opportunity and others that come along the way. So, okay, enough of me. Let's get to the event details. Here's what we can expect. The first panel of U.S. Senate candidates before you will commence in just a moment, and that segment will take a bit over an hour. The first half of each panel will feature candidates taking questions formed by our group, Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada. They have opening statements, and then we're going to go right into questions. Each candidate will get to answer the same question with an initial 1-minute response. Then we will open it up to a 3-minute discussion among the candidates on that specific topic. Then we'll repeat the process with a few more GCON questions, and after that segment, we'll go right into the town hall portion and follow the same protocol. At the end, each candidate will then have 1-minute closing statements. We'll then break for 15 minutes or so before we start the Nye County Commission debate panel. Their format will be the same. Now some quick ground rules for the audience. Don't throw anything. You can be boisterous. We don't, it's not a library. We can be involved, that's fine. If you're gonna be a fantastic crowd, I know you're gonna be a fantastic crowd, so I know you're gonna be respectful and not be too rowdy as the candidates are speaking. But some applause and random cheering is okay. I expect this debate to have a pulse. Now, debate etiquette for the candidates, just gotta go over this. I know you're gonna be fine, but might as well do it. We want this to be a spirited debate and give you plenty of room during the discussion period to make some points. Respect one another up here, so please refrain from ad hominem or character attacks. Criticism of your opponent's policy positions and record is okay, but please stay on topic and try to share time with one another. Also, all of our candidates should be conscious of the fact that this is an all-ages event. Little ears and little eyes are focused online as well as here in the venue, so let's just keep it civil. Without further ado, let's allow each candidate an opening statement of 1 minute. We'll start with you, Mr. Lindeman, and work our way across the stage. Last set of housekeeping items. I'm sorry, guys. To prevent feedback, I've been told this 3 times tonight. Each time you want to talk, you do have to flip the thing up, the little knob up towards you. You see the little, sorry about that. Yeah, because when all 5 are on, we're getting feedback.
I got it. Electrical genius I am not, so that's the way that it's going to go. My name is Barry Lindeman. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, obviously. I grew up on a small ranch in northern Wyoming, so a very Western sort of philosophy about how you approach life, which is you rely on yourself and the government needs to remain small. I came to Nevada in about 2000, 1999, 2000. I worked for construction and around utilities. I got pretty good at it, and then when I got too old to do that, I transitioned to finance. I got really good at finance, and I got my MBA, and
You're good.
okay.
I wondered at 30 seconds, so, but.
Okay. Okay, so I got really good at finance, and now I run a real estate portfolio. I got two prongs in my platform, which is taxpayer first and punish the government. And at the end of the day, I hope that when we're doing this debate up here, that people sit there and see why we say what we say. Because we're gonna have a lot of similarities, we just need to know what our position is and why we say it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill Conrad, candidate for United States Senate, and welcome. It's great to be in Pahrump to see so many faces and people out here. You are the folks who are going to win for Republicans, because you got to get out there and get hundreds of Republicans to vote, who we need to vote. So again, my name is Bill Conrad. I'm one of two candidates who's a combat veteran and a West Point grad. Unfortunately, the captain's not here tonight, and there's a lieutenant colonel, and that's me. I served 4 tours in Afghanistan. I saw the worst and the best of humankind there. My sergeant major's son was shot and killed, and it's a rough place. My heart goes out to Sam Brown and his family and what he went through, and his driver who was killed. It's a terrible thing, but war is not good. In my job, since I have 3 kids in the military, one of them is to keep us out of war. I'm also one of 2 candidates who's been elected to office. Prior to 9/11, I served, first of all, 31 years, 9 years active, Air National Guard, and then back to the Army. So I got to finish it up, but I'm one of 2 candidates to be elected to office, and win. I won 5 elections. I'll talk more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Stephanie Phillips, and I want to thank Matt for putting this together. And thank you all for coming. And with Veterans Day coming up, I want to thank all of the veterans in this room, because without you and without those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, we would not be here. I grew up in a small town in southern Oregon, and I lived in the country. We grew pretty much everything we ate, canned in the summertime, and then I moved down to the Bay Area, got a little taste of city life, and then found my way here 30 years ago. I have been in the real estate business that whole time. I started my own company 19 years ago almost. I'm a child of God. My faith is very important to me. We are one nation under God, and we have gotten so far from that. I have 2 kids. I'm a mom. I'm a Blue Star mom. My son serves, and I am running because of what they did to us during COVID. And I'll talk more about that, but we need a fighter in this seat that is never going to lock us down again and never do those things to us again.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tony Grady, and it's my pleasure to be here. We know why we're all here, because of the failed policies of this administration, rubber stamped by Jackie Rosen. Any of my colleagues here will do a better job than Jackie Rosen. I'm a proud veteran. I'm proud to be here in Nevada. I'm proud to be in Nye County. I want you to know that I am running to represent you. My policies will be to get us back to energy efficiency, to secure our border, and to get the United States back in its proper place in the world stage. I am Tony Grady, running to be your next United States Senator. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. 1 minute is a really short time. My name is Rhonda Kennedy. There's one thing that I'm going to say to everyone here and everyone in the state of Nevada. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I've already done. I'm the attorney that filed the federal lawsuit during the lockdowns that closed the gun stores, that forced the gun stores back open, won twice in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I'm the only attorney in the country that successfully defended businesses when they were closed during COVID, and the county went after them and wanted them to pay $600,000 to $1 million in fines and take their health permits. Guess what? No fines, no penalties, they kept their health permit. I have one of the only surviving 2020 election fraud cases that won in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and just went back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I just filed a federal lawsuit against Facebook, Meta, and I'll tell you more about that. But I'm not gonna tell you what I'm going to do. I'm gonna tell you what I've already done. And I'm an open book and you can ask me anything. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, now, we're going to the question portion of the debate. Here's the first question brought to you by Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada. It is no secret that our national debt, inflation, and supply issues are harming the U.S. economy. Spending on defense, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other income security programs like the child tax credits, unemployment compensation, and a host of others are a majority of all U.S. expenses. What is your plan to effectively stop the deficit spending? And I do apologize, but we can only allow about a 1 minute initial take on this, and then we're going into a discussion. So hopefully you can press that out a little bit. We'll start again with you for the first question here, Mr. Lindsay.
Thanks, Matt. I'm the rookie here, so I'm taking a few tips from Bill. As far as the debt goes, your $33 trillion headed into $36 trillion, and you're gonna get $1 trillion in interest every year, okay? What you have to stop spending, and that seems like a simple answer on this, because nobody can envision the United States of America going bankrupt. But what I'm gonna propose when I get there is that we actually, instead of doing one budget, because you do two, we do your budget, your main budget where you keep Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and defense, all funded by the first dollars that come in, and then everything after that, you put in an ancillary budget, and that's really where the fight needs to go. You have to protect the entitlements for people here, because they made promises, they put it in there, they put their money in there, and we have to ensure that people have money to live on. It's a shame that illegal immigrants right now are coming in and they're getting more money than the average Social Security recipient.
Time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'll go back and start where I finished up. I was elected 5 times. I won 2 general elections. And as a city council vice mayor of the city of 200,000, what I did was I've got a proven record that you can go and look at. That's one thing I have as a candidate. There's only 2 of us that have that. And what I did as a city councilman, I was very conservative. We only voted for the basics, roads, streets, services. We weren't going to build performing arts centers or anything like that. We've got to apply the same thing in the federal government. Last year we spent $7 billion. We only brought in $5 trillion. We brought in and we sent $7 trillion. We can't go into deficit $2 trillion a year. We have to stop. We have to balance the budget. We have to cut back. And that means if we don't send $100 billion to Ukraine, that's one thing we do. The Europeans need to pay their fair way. We got to watch the military, because that's one of the biggest points of the budget. We need a strong military. We need deterrence. We need good people in the military. But we have to cut back everywhere. It's non-essential. We must balance the budget. The biggest risk we have is continuing to fee out money. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for that question, because that is a problem, and the overspending. I will always support our military. I will always protect seniors and Social Security. However, when I have read some of these budget items, there are billions and billions of dollars that are lost due to fraud. I would go in and audit these government agencies and find where all of that fraud is taking place. It will save us so much money. Also, the reckless spending has got to stop. We need to have a balanced budget. I will push for that. And I also will never support our tax dollars going to pay for illegals and all of these other things that they want to spend our money on. And that is just completely reckless. So I am going to protect you and your tax dollars.
One of the things that I did was command the B-2 stealth bomber test squadron. It was a $24 billion event out there. So I understand how some of these major programs fit and how they're funded. I also was in charge of the president's portion of the bomber budget and the military budget, and I understand how that arcane process works. What we need is leadership to get back to regular order. We have 4 appropriation bills coming from the House that are sitting in the Senate right now, and the Senate's not doing its job. So look at constitutionally what government is responsible for, get back to regular order by the leadership that is in the Senate. That's what I will advocate for, and then we need to go from there. We need to make sure that we do stop spending, and we have to cut a lot of fraud. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I won't be very popular in the Senate, but the first thing I would do is I would introduce to cut the pay and the salary of Congress and the Senate, because they're way overpaid, and maybe we won't have too many career politicians. But, number one, America is not a welfare country. The rest of the world looks at America to bail them out. I would first look at how much aid do we send to certain countries. If they're not on board, like President Trump did this, he was brilliant, when it came to deporting people who were here illegally and their countries didn't want to take them back, he picked up the phone and found out how much money do we send this country each year. He says, that much money? Well, cut it off. And guess what happened? They took their citizens back. So that's the first thing I would do, is stop having America be a welfare country and cut the foreign aid off.
Now, as we go into our 3-minute discussion period on this singular topic, we're going to start from the other side of the stage right now. I want to lead this discussion off by asking Rhonda a question to just spark the debate. You can have a chance to go ahead and be first to do that. But Rhonda, what would uniquely position you over opponents either on this stage or maybe the ones that are not on the stage to give you a leg up with regard to this type of question, this type of activity?
Well, first of all, I'm a litigator. I understand the law. A legislator makes the law. And I understand the powers of each branch of government. And time and time again, I've heard people run for office and they don't understand their limitations on their office. There's an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. And I uniquely understand that. I'm a constitutionalist, and so that's my governing rule. That's my beacon of light. That's what I follow. If it's not in the Constitution, I don't care about my personal feelings or anyone else's personal feelings. I'm going to protect the Constitution, and therefore protecting every single American that's not just in Nevada, but across this country. And the first thing that I'm uniquely able to do is I can look outside of the box and look at different ways of how to attack things legally. Like, that's how I opened the gun stores. That's how I defended businesses during COVID. That's how I'm suing Facebook. And the first thing I would do is talk to my colleagues in Congress and call for impeachment hearings on these judges who are abusing their power. Because I understand the Constitution. I know that the only way you can get rid of a federal judge is to impeach them. And the power is in Congress and in the Senate to convict them. So I would uniquely use my legal knowledge and my love of the Constitution to be able to attack all of these traitors, these treasonous traitors that are in the Senate. And I'm not just talking about one side of the aisle. We have vipers on the other side of the aisle too, and our side of the aisle, and we need to clean house.
This was a budget question, right? We're talking about the deficit?
Yes.
Debt? Yeah, so let's talk about numbers, guys. talking about the way the United States government sees the debt and the deficit, and they don't care. You have to ask yourself why they don't care. We have to talk about making you wealthy. When you're wealthy, then the government can pay back its taxes, but nobody's being wealthy right now. You're paying taxes are too high on you. Money's being spent where it doesn't need to go. They can't even close the border. They send money down to the Golden Triangle and those countries down there, and they have people come up. They're paying them to come up. They're flying them in right now. So how can you send $46 billion to Ukraine plus $14 billion, I can say billion dollars to Israel, and then expect everybody in the United States now owes, and I mean kids too, $97,000 each. You tackle the numbers. It isn't about legislation. It isn't about suing people. It's about that. Get your budget. That's why you need to have two budgets.
One second addition to that part of the discussion, if either of the panelists want to answer on that, we're gonna, well, you already spoke, we're gonna have to hear from one of the other panelists.
So one of the things that I shared about being uniquely qualified is I've been in that process. I was a young lieutenant when they were doing continuing resolutions, wondering if I was going to get paid because things were shut down. So I understand it from when I was a young man. And then when I was in the Pentagon working on the air staff, I saw how the legislatures treat money. We have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. And so one of the first things we need to do in terms of leadership is we need to get our house in order and process regular order of passing the budgets and not omnibus bills where everybody hides things. Then the next thing that we need to do is we need to get back to energy efficiency, because when energy is expensive, everything in the supply chain is more expensive. It costs more to get our food, gas, and everything. So if we can get our physical house in order doing that, it will improve things. And I think it's important that you know that I am not a lawyer. We have lots of attorneys who are legislators. How's that working out for us? So the reality is I think it's good that we get people that come from other areas where they have other experiences to help lead this country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move to the next question, but William Conrad and Stephanie Phillips, we're going to have the first chances to expound on the next question. I apologize. We have two panels. I really wanted to devote 2 hours to the U.S. Senate. We could go on for probably 3 or 4, but I appreciate your patience through this abbreviated effort here. So on to the next question here. This one, William Conrad, you're going to get the first response to it. Since the lifting of Title 42, Customs and Border Patrol reported 99,545 encounters of illegal immigrants at ports of entry along the southwest border, a 42% increase from May of 2023. Would you support the appropriation of funds to build a wall at our southern border? Why or why not?
Absolutely, and here's another thing. I'm the only candidate who has worked on the border. I also do drug interdiction in the Bahamas against the cartels and in Honduras. And I want to tell you, there's even something worse than that. I got to talk at this point, because every day I get a daily brief. I used to work with CIA folks. I was the DIA. And I get a brief. We're all sitting around, we're retired. We write this daily. And there is right now, the United States government has given over $1 billion to non-governmental NGOs to help the Central Americans and others come up into the country. Since August, there have been over 300 flights from Haiti to Nicaragua, and there were 10 last Saturday. Those, we're trying to verify who those were paid for, but I'm sure they were paid for the NGOs. Then they go into El Salvador charges them $1,000. Now these are generally poor people. Where are they getting the money to pay the cartels to get up into the United States? Folks, the other area too is we have over 5 million 5 billion.
Speaking about the border, yes, I would absolutely do that. I believe there's money already appropriated for that. However, they are using that money in other ways. Just like the speaker took $14.5 billion and wanted to take from the IRS $80 billion and appropriate it for Israel, I would gladly take that $80 billion from the IRS funding and use that to secure our country. Our national security is of utmost importance, and they are doing nothing to secure our border. They have no idea how many terrorists are coming over the border. I have said many times, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we are attacked on our soil. That has to be priority one. Also, I would appropriate funds to a sex trafficking task force to end human trafficking. That has gotten so much worse because they have allowed this border to be open. And also, I would deport all of them that have come over the border the last 3 years and send them back to Mexico.
I would definitely agree with my colleagues here on securing the border. It's a constitutional responsibility if you look in the 14th Amendment. If you do not have a border, you don't have a country. So that's a primary responsibility of government. So I would build a wall. I would fire our current Secretary of Homeland Security because senators advise and consent. And so we need a secretary that's going to enforce the laws, and then we need to relook at the asylum laws so that we make sure that they're tweaked. Our laws on the books are good. There needs to be some tweaking, but we need to secure our border. What drives us in the United States is grand strategy. We fund the grand strategy to protect our people, protect the Constitution, and to protect our land mass. If we are not doing those three things, we are not performing as elected officials should. Thank you.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to say that everyone has something negative to say about attorneys until they need one. Because Donald Trump's not sitting in the courtroom with other people, he's sitting there with his attorneys. So, number one, I hear a lot of these ideas, but I'm in my head, I'm like confused because constitutionally they don't work. Because like I said, there's different limitations on your office. You can't fire, that's an executive branch, the head of the Homeland Security, that was appointed by the president. You have to impeach them. If you want to start impeachment processes, then you do that. The other thing is, I hear the problems, but I don't hear solutions. You're not going to be legislating by yourself. We have 100 US senators, we have 435 members of Congress, you have to work around that. So what I would do is actually read the laws, the existing laws and the bills to find the loophole, how to use it against them to get what I needed.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We're going to beat up some of the quick follow-up question to spark a little more discussion. I'll start with Stephanie Phillips on this one. In light of that, some of the events worldwide, whether it's Ukraine and now, of course, in Israel, there's some comparisons made, that we should probably be bolstering our own defenses here locally. How do you reconcile that in light of the international scene while also having enough resources at home to take care of our homeland as priority number one?
Well, I tell you, I think that we need to be extra vigilant. People need to be involved. We need to get leaders in office that are actually going to put America first. They have put us last. They are not protecting us. They don't know who is coming into this country. I will make that a priority. We need to put our citizens first. And when we look at the money that we are sending to other countries, we are forsaking our own. So I would propose that we take care of our country, we take care of our border and safety first before that money gets sent to other countries.
Really not give you an opportunity here, so if you want to chime in on that.
So So best way, first of all, simple solution, whether you're impeaching somebody or not, is elect a Republican as a conservative Republican's office. We need a majority in the Senate, Congress, and the President, and we'll get our country back. We're going to lose our country if the Democrats stay in power. This next election, we could lose our country. This is the most important election of my lifetime, and I want to keep this country for our kids. But I think we could lose our country inside a few years, anytime. We could lose it fiscally by the government. We could lose it by invasion, by tearing apart. Our country is not in good shape right now. So that what I would say is elect Republicans, shut down that border. You can't have anybody go across, but you have to deport a lot of people who are not Americans.
Thank you, sir. Barry, you want to the last 30 seconds or so, please?
Yeah, that was, your question was about Hamas and Israel, right?
The follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, Hamas is a terrorist group, okay? People don't want to say that, and they're not barbarians, they're savages, okay? And they're going after the Jews first, but the Christians are coming next. And they're already over here, okay? So, here's the thing. Israel needs the billions so we can stop them there before they get here, right? So we need to put that out there. And closing the border is probably the biggest thing that we can do to stop them from coming through. America makes $5 trillion a year. There's plenty of money. You want to know the difference between $1 million and $5 trillion? Here it is. $1 million is 33 minutes, 33 days. Apologize for that. $5 trillion is 33 years. You got plenty of money. We can fund everything. We're just making poor choices on what we're funding. And you guys need to be wealthy. That's what we need to sit there and make our economy do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate all your questions on that discussion for that question. So we're going to move to our third and probably final of this portion before we get to town hall questions here. The first question is going to be, Stephanie, you're going to go first on this one. In the last administration, we became energy independent. We are currently energy dependent. Which energy strategy do you support, and what would you do to support that goal?
You know, it's a shame when the Biden administration, when he cut the keystone, when he first came into office, and it was a domino effect from there. They have killed the oil, land leases, and sales, and all these things. We should be energy independent. We can be. And I would definitely support drilling more. We need to be selling more oil and producing more. We have a shortage, so we have high gas prices. It doesn't have to be that way. We can fix that. So I would definitely support oil and drilling some more. And nuclear energy is actually a very clean energy. I would support that as well. And we need to get back to the Trump policies because we were prospering. We were doing well. We were energy independent, and we can get there again.
Thank you, sir.
I agree that we can be energy independent, and I would look at the strategy of, again, opening the Keystone Pipeline, drilling in Anwar, and then, of course, giving real leases to the oil companies so they can actually explore and they can use those leases to actually go out and do what they do best. We need to make sure that energy stands on its own. We shouldn't subsidize things that are not efficient. We have a lot of natural gas. But energy is a twofold for us, because if we make the energy prices go down, our enemies, like Iran, will not have the funds to be able to support terrorists. So I believe that we should be energy dominant, and we get two things out of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda?
This is kind of a short answer, but yes, we need to go back. We need to roll back to the Trump administration and go back to being energy independent. We need to open up the pipeline again, absolutely. But I would, as a U.S. Senator, support the Republican President, Donald Trump, in doing those things, because that would have to be the president that would do that. But I would support the president, Donald Trump, in us becoming energy independent again. And also, take my remaining time to go back to the border. I would stop giving aid to the countries who have the largest number of immigrants in this country and send them back.
We know that Tony Grady kind of initiated the discussion portion of this, and we'll hopefully let most of the panels. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally cut you. I'm so glad you're here. Sorry about that. Around the world here, Mr. Lindeman, I apologize. Your 60 seconds in response to that question. I apologize.
Well, thanks very much. Didn't know you were leaving me out. That's the way my life works. Hey, so we all agree that we all need to be energy independent, but what I'm not hearing up here is how you get to that. If Donald Trump's not the president, how are you going to get there? And it starts with the credit markets. We have to know this inside and out. Signals have to be given to the credit markets so they can lend money to the oil producers and the oil drillers. It costs money to do that, to get in those great big trucks and service those pipes and go out there and drill. I don't even know what a platform in the Gulf costs, but I bet you it's a lot of money. If those companies, and it is Chevron and Exxon, besides all the smaller companies, if they don't get the signal from Wall Street, and I don't like Wall Street, but if they don't get the signal from Wall Street, they're not going to be able to borrow the money they need to make us energy independent. The first thing that has to happen is economics, and that means we have to signal the credit markets that it's okay to go and drill. If Trump's there, we're probably okay, but understand the process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So the first thing we have to do is we have to get rid of the Green New Deal. It's killing us. The socialists, the communists are killing us. We have a communist element out there that's trying to destroy our country right now. You've got to understand that. So elect Trump or DeSantis because they will get us energy independent again. They will replenish our reserves. Right now, our reserve is at like 2/3 down. If we go to war, we're out of fuel. We can't fuel our Navy right now if we go to war. So we better fix it fast before I lose it. No, the election can't come soon enough. We have to win this next election. So some things that we have to do, what we've all mentioned, we all know we have to get energy independent again. We've got to SPRAC, we've got to reduce regulations. Trump reduced regulations. That's what really got us going. We got to pump, we got to sell. And finally, I want to tell you something. Germany is really torquing me off right now. They're buying so much natural gas right now from Russia. They're funding Russia, and they're not paying their fair share of Ukraine. That torques me off to no degree. Europe is bothering me right now. They're happy. So they're listening. So anyway, that's some of the things we can do.
Thank you, sir. Again, apologies, panel. Sorry for that. Now, Tony Grady, if you want to start off the discussion and further that, I know there's a lot to unpack here, so any direction you want to take this topic of energy independence, if you want to add on to spark some more discussion. Yeah, if you can keep it about 1 minute so we can at least get 3 out of the 5 panels.
Sure, some of the things that we need to spark on that I was kind of hitting on is that you need to look at energy standing on its own. We've been subsidizing things that are not ready for prime time when we talk about green energy and things like that. The energy density in 1 cubic foot, 1 cubic inch, whatever, of oil is just so much more efficient. We need to be doing that. And as it was mentioned already, we need to be looking at nuclear. And that's very near and dear also to our state. It's foolish to be saying that we're going to force everybody to have, cars, electric vehicles. The government doesn't tell us what we do. What we need to do is to do it logically. And one of the things of being in the test world is I understand logic on that. So we're not looking at fuel cells. We're not looking at a myriad of other things that we can do. So we need to open it up and actually do some good R&D. Thank you.
First person to raise their hand gets to chime in on this one, Rhonda. Then we're going to Ms. Phillips after.
Well, the one thing I won't do is do more corporate welfare by giving money to oil companies because they have to go drill. Because I think we bailed them out enough times, and we're still paying for the Exxon spill as well. They still owe the U.S. taxpayers money. So I would start by giving money to the oil companies. Secondly, we do have to look at more independent ways of getting fuel, of energy, and more clean energy. I hate to say it, I'm not a tree hugger, but we do have to leave this planet to our children. So I think we do need to start looking to the future for cleaner energy, but we also have to look at the here and now, which the here and now is oil.
Stephanie?
I just want to say, because we brought up the Green New Deal and this climate crisis that they have created. I just want to tell you how I feel about that, because I don't believe it's a crisis at all. I believe that they have implemented all of these things. They want us to go to these electric vehicles. They want to control every aspect of our lives. And I tell you, I will not support that at all. All these solar farms, these solar panels that we see, guess where those panels are coming from? China. So they're not supporting American businesses, they're getting those from China. I don't really agree with that either. We should be supporting American business. So all of this push for this Green New Deal and this climate crisis and all these billions of dollars that are being spent in the name of a crisis, I don't go along with any of it and don't agree with it.
So I was going to say how I fix it. Limited government, free enterprise works. That means no subsidies, but limited government. That reduces the size of government. And then also, I'm not a believer in climate change. We've always had some kind of climate change. I do not believe climate change is a threat to get us here. And then finally, I want to say that you notice that they're forcing us all into high density downtown. You will own nothing and live in an apartment or condominium that you don't own. So we need to get back to allowing free markets to build homes for people and commute and buy cars.
Thank you. Now for the fun part. We're going to do.
I'm trying to help you in the rules.
Yeah, screen fairness, definitely. Our discussion on that one went a little bit longer. Sorry.
I know. Table that at the end of the day.
Right.
Look, here's the deal. I read the Green Energy part of the Inflation Reduction Act, okay? And it's simply this. Government, the way it is being run right now, has a model by which it runs. And it's a very static model. You can't sit there and say, oh, something changed and you moved. They're gonna make you, by 2035, buy a new EV, right? We have to find a new model for what we're gonna do. Nobody up here believes in the hyper environment. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and get to the town hall portion of the event. So keep in mind, we are not hand selecting or pre-screening any questions. I just ask the audience to keep the questions respectful and addressed to the panel as a whole, if you can, because they're each gonna, I want them each to be chiming in on a response. So our first question is coming from Karen Waldman for the U.S. Senate panel. Karen, wherever you're at, you're going to run a microphone to you.
So the green energy produces an awful lot of toxic things, lithium batteries. They don't know what they're going to do with all these solar panels that expire much sooner. We're going to be sitting on a bunch of garbage. What are your plans to protect our country, and what will you be doing to stop voting for things that cause harm to our country while acting like green is fabulous?
Okay, so Tony Grady, you're up first to answer the first 60-second question.
Good question. Thank you for asking that. There's a lot of things that go into that. There's a lot of strategic minerals that go into all of these things. We're going to have to figure out how to recover some of those minerals out of it. Near and dear to our hearts here in Nevada is that mining is important. And right now, strategic minerals are being controlled by China and different things like that. So one of the things we need to do with all of those things that are going to be discarded is how do we get things that are useful out of them. But I think that I have to give deference to Mr. Conrad here because he actually said it. The real answer to that is we need to get away from the government telling us what to do and start having the free market principles determine what we do. There are a lot of people that understand how to salvage things. There are a lot of people that understand how we can recycle things. But we need to stop subsidizing the making of these things. That's the first thing we need to do.
Thank you, sir.
Well, here's an idea. How about we add, you want to do the Green New Deal, you want to have all this solar panels and that, then we add a caveat in there that China has to take them back. We ship them back to where they came from, they can get around and dispose of them.
I think as far as what we're talking about green energy, right? I don't need that wind turbines and things like that, but to get rid of them and everything, we're gonna have to see. The sun is the only thing that makes these things apart, and if they're not exposed to the sun, they're just gonna sit in the ground. You have to remember, they're trying to put in a lithium mine up north, right? You know how many gallons it takes, how many gallons of water does it take to make 1 metric ton of lithium? 500,000. Has anybody done a hydrology report on where that's gonna go in? And you're gonna have a tailings pond. So if you don't know it from top to bottom and getting in it, and you don't know anything, you can't just go down here and say, yeah, that's good, yeah, that's bad. Know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, a couple things in 1 minute. First of all, when I was on city council, remember how you separate your trash? I'm a civil engineer, so I can go down and dig into this. We're actually spending more energy and waste and pollution by separating trash and having 2 trash trucks go up and down the roads. By the way, those trash trucks destroy the roads and put wear and tear. So recycling can be anti-environmental because it causes more waste, and that's a true story, and that's like there's not, like you said, there's not enough lithium. These reports, about 5 days ago, the president of Toyota said it's absolutely impossible to build enough electric cars for the world, period. There's not enough lithium, not enough work for the country world. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So we've got to get back to the basics, we've got to get back to the free market. In recycling, you do your best in recycling, let the market decide. But don't pollute, but let the market decide.
The point that you brought up, I've read a lot about that, and that is one of the main reasons to roll back all this Green New Deal. And they want us to go all electric, but they have not planned out the infrastructure for power grids. How are they going to put that into place? So the fact that we are gonna have all of that waste, what are we gonna do with that? I say, don't have it to begin with. So if we roll that back, and we go back to what we had before, instead of implementing all of this, we're not gonna have that problem.
We can give you 30 seconds for sure. Go ahead, Rhonda.
I just would like to say, that was just a distraction for us. That's why it's so far ahead in the first place. I think they just did the real problems as
Just deeper into that, we'll get to each of you 5 on there.
Talking about the new Green Deal?
Yes.
Just making sure. So here's the thing, I'm gonna go back to the static models that I read about on this. They basically want to remove all internal combustion engines from the United States of America in 2035. You see Gavin Newsom trying to do this right now. I'll give you an example why it's never gonna work. In the city of Joliet, Illinois, Warner Trucking decided to take 50 trucks and convert them all, or buy new ones, to all electric trucking. The city of Joliet did a study on it. They said the minute you plug them all in, that it would blow out the transformers across the city. It's not gonna work.
William?
So, it's not gonna work. Everyone is correct here. It's not gonna work. We need to stop this foolishness. Democrats, I don't know where they come from. Are they from a different world because they're destroying our country? So you've got to vote. I mean, it goes back to getting Republicans, conservatives, free market people based in there. And then finally, one last thing. If we go all electric in these things, I work for the Defense Production Agency, you can take out our electric grid real easy if you know how to do it. And they know how to do it. And it takes 6 months to rebuild a transformer. And a high-powered rifle will take out a transformer.
Stephanie?
So, we've talked about all of this, but I want to talk about government control, because that's really what it boils down to. I will not support the federal government being so intrusive in our lives. Look at the Fed One program. They want everybody to go cashless. And they get rid of cash, guess what? That's even more control. Every single thing that they do is control. That's what they did during COVID. You get a vaccine if you want to keep your job. We're going to put a mask on you and your children. We're going to close your schools and churches. It's all about control, and that's where we have to stop this.
Americans do our best when our backs are against the wall. We put people on the moon, okay? We can solve problems. The whole Green New Deal is about fear, and I want to stop scaring our children because they think they aren't going to have a future, and it's a big hoax. The answer to the new Green Deal is, where are all the elites' houses? They're on the shore. So we know that it's a red herring. So Americans, our backs are against the wall. Let's get about R&D and get rid of the Green New Deal. Thank you.
Ron, you still give your 35-second follow-up.
I'm still trying to figure out why we're talking about the Green New Deal. It's never gonna happen. I'd rather get back to talking about the real problems that's going on in America, because the Democrats like to distract us with this stuff while they're passing legislation that's actually chipping away and destroying our Constitution. I mean, and we, like George Soros sending money over to terrorist organizations, Hamas, we should be talking about that and putting him and listing him as a terrorist, George Soros, but we're not.
Unfortunately, we gotta move on to the next topic now. I'm sorry about that. Our next question from the audience, Ralph Wade. Ralph?
Yes. Very well. I agree with everything on the panel. I agree with everything on the panel. But first off is, for me, all this is just junk. We need to be working on veterans dying, getting medication, overstocked, not paid, and then you want to talk about some other country. We already know we're not supposed to be sending no money anywhere except for fixing America. So for me, regardless you Democrat or Republican, you need to start working on how to get rid of these clowns in all. For me, I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. You work together, you sleep together, you have parties together. I'm saying get rid of them. Cut their pay. People getting paid, been on the books for the last 20 years, they get all this money. Cut it off. When your 20 years is up, they either cut it off or you die and you don't get nothing. So let's stop playing and be real. Look at all these people in there. Some of them got homes they can't even afford because the interest rate is so high. You're not talking about that. Talk about how to do it. Don't tell me what you did and all this other stuff. We want to see you do something here in the valley. But the difference of it is, we just tired. do something. Stop talking and do something. When you get in the office, do something. If you're going back and you're about Russia, we don't want to hear about Israel. We want to hear about the doctors killing us with all this medication and all this environmental stuff that we're not even supposed to eat. And you talking about some other country, we know darn well these deals are not going to go through. We're not dumb, and we're definitely not stupid. We're here because we want to see something different, something new. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. William Conrad. Everyone first on that, and there's lots on the back there. You can take that in a few directions.
So that's wonderful. I'm happy you did that. Yesterday, I have read a company organization similar to this in Northern Nevada. Redmove.org, you can go and look at it. We did a veterans event. We had veterans, we had the meals for veterans, we work with veterans. My 3 kids are in the military. They come from the military. If you don't take care of veterans, you'll lose your country. That's for sure. So what can we do here? Just reduce the size of the federal government, get back to the state and local. The government closest to the people is best, far off distant capital. I'll do everything I can to reduce the size of the federal government and return the power to the state and local government.
Thank you for bringing up veterans. That is on the top of my platform alongside children. My son serves. My kid's father was a retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force and served 25 years. My brother-in-law is a retired Green Beret. More so than any other group that calls me, veterans call me. And they tell me the problems that they have with VA. They tell me that things that they need. So that's why that is important to me. That's why I'm going to work on that. We need to have more services for veterans. They need to be aware of what's out there to help them. We need more mental health doctors, and we need to streamline some of these procedures and application process with the disability program, because that is very cumbersome. When you have to hire somebody in order to complete that process, there's something wrong with that. And also, I believe the VA should have a time limit of when they have to respond back to a veteran. They shouldn't be sitting out there for months waiting for an appointment to have to see a doctor.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Very spirited question, but there are veterans up here. Bill Conrad's a veteran, I'm a veteran. I have 2 of my children that are on the tip of the spear right now. I understand veterans, but our society is interconnected. So when we take care of energy things, it's going to help veterans. It's not like we're disconnected. And I agree and want to echo Bill. I hate to give him deference here, but he's correct that it's got to be handled closest. But I will let you know, to remind you, Donald Trump cut red tape and made it easier for veterans to get help. So part of the answer is leadership. And when you talk about something new, we can't have something new unless we get elected. So we have to get elected and serve a president that has a will, and we have to have leadership in the Senate to be able to solve problems like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Wanda.
Finally, a topic that touches home that we can actually talk about, because that's what I want to get to. I don't want to get to these everyday issues that affect everyday Americans. My family has been served in the military since the Civil War. My dad is a Vietnam vet. And when I see veterans sleeping on the streets and homeless and not getting the care that they need, and we're sending and we're giving money to people that come in this country illegally, that doesn't stand right with me. One of the things is that most of the people that are on the Veterans Affairs Committee in Washington are Democrats. And I know it's not, don't care about Democrats or Republicans, but they've been the ones that have been leading the Veterans Affairs Committee. And they haven't done anything. I know insurance companies, and let's just say the Veterans Affairs is like an insurance company. You put your claim in and they immediately deny it. Yes. Right. So much.
Here's what I know. I know the State Veterans Office is 30 feet that way. Hang on, are we good? I know the disabled veterans office is 30 feet that way. I know you need transportation to North Las Vegas to go file your claim or get medical treatment. I know Mesquite also needs transportation for that too. I know that the PAC Act dumped $5.6 million in new claims on the federal government and the VA and has made the system a quagmire. I also know that there's one guy in the Las Vegas Valley teaching 5 nights a week, 100 people on how to file their claims. I know there's 17,000 people in line just to get that. I know that the veterans have 25% women now, they need another facility. I know that facility is gonna cost $1,111 per square foot if it's 4 stories and 40,000 square feet. You're right, we need to take care of you. You let me, it'll be one of my tips of the spear when I go in there. And you'll get your bus and your transportation to go over there, you'll get your medication, you'll get your training, because it's not like veterans benefits, it's Medicare and Medicaid. It all comes together. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Now to William to go ahead and start the conversation, or keep the conversation going on the same topic.
So, just
35 seconds to begin.
one point though, I'm retired and I have TRICARE, but I chose, since I'm a combat veteran, to retain VA. I want to know what the veterans have. I use exclusively VA. My VA in the agreement about it has been darn good. I know a lot of doctors. I just met the chief of staff the other day. But it's important to take care of the veterans. And first of all, there's a lot of veterans here, and some of us didn't return. And I think just about everyone. I was talking to a surgeon yesterday who is a Marine, and I think just about all of us have some kind of post-traumatic stress during the war, in these last wars. These were terrible wars. These have been the worst. And Iraq too.
I think if we had some accountability service that they're getting veterans, if we had some sort of a questionnaire survey that veterans would fill out, and we would collect those from all 14 of the veteran service centers here in Nevada, we could see where the shortfall is. Where is that weakness? Where can we improve? There are so many things we can do. We have almost 1,500 homeless veterans. The money that we're sending out of this country before taking care of our own, I have a huge problem with that. And that would change with me in the Senate.
I think a lot of the problem has to do with the management of the system. Going back to the comment that I made about President Trump cutting the regulations, that was an innovative way to think about it. So what we need to do with the veterans is just like what has happened here, is understand the problem and figure out how to solve it. Try to solve the problem locally, but when there are synergies, i.e. in the regular medical system that can overlap with the VA medical system, we need to be innovative in doing things like that. And those are the ways that we need to attack this problem.
Thank you, Tony.
I know my colleague here may not like to hear this, but they all know what the problem is. Congress knows, the Senate knows, they choose not to fix it. We're sitting here talking about what the problem is. They know that. And I've helped veterans get their benefits as a lawyer because it took the legal system for them to force them to do it, because they had to be threatened to be sued before they actually gave them their benefits. So maybe veterans should just get together and do a class action and force the government to do what they're supposed to do.
Thank you, Rhonda. Jared, follow up?
It seems like I'm yelling at you guys, I just get excited, that's all. So I don't need to. I don't know if a class action suit is worth the time to do when the need is immediate, right? What does it take to get a bus out here and move you over to North Las Vegas to get that done? I sincerely believe that whoever winds up in the position, that they make sure that what we need to do is take care of things now, not in 6 months. It has to happen now.
Thank you for all of your answers on that. That was a tough, very big question. So I think we have another question from The name, they actually wrote the question on there, I'm gonna have to choose a different one, I apologize. Okay, and the last question that we're gonna have time for this panel before we get to closing statements is coming from Judy Lovered. Judy?
I'd just like to ask all the candidates up here, you seem like fine folks, but how many people have we already sent that go back there and all of a sudden they become the go along to get along? What makes you stand out from all those other ones that are back there that aren't doing their job? Why would I want to give you my vote?
Let's start with Stephanie on that one.
I've been asked that a lot, and thank you for asking that. I have a lot vested in this state. I have lived here for 30 years. I started my business almost 19 years ago. I don't need a job. I have a job, I have a home here. My kids were born and raised here. I see what Nevada is doing. They keep sending the same candidates over and over, and we keep doing the same thing, and we keep losing. So I got fed up. I'm fed up just like the rest of you. And I'm standing up, and I'm standing before you and telling you, I will put my life aside, my business, my home, my family. I will go to DC and I will represent you. The name, the fame, the money, the power, none of that means anything to me. What means something to me is representing everybody in here and having true representation from a true Nevadan who cares about you. I didn't move here from another state to just run for office. I don't have any big mega donors. I'm not bought and paid for by anyone. I am truly here to represent your best interests.
What makes me different is I've been to DC and now I want to go back. I have 4 children. I went to the Air Force Academy. Children don't listen. The oldest went to Annapolis and the baby went to West Point. I have a molecular biologist and I have one who runs a personal training business. Why am I doting on my kids? They're successful. I know how to help children be successful. I think we need to elect leaders that want all American children to be successful. And when I go to DC, I am not there because I want to be a US Senator. I'm going to DC to serve you, and you can hold me accountable.
I'm just a little taken aback. But I have been in the trenches, fighting on the front lines for this country. I have been persecuted. I have been ridiculed. I have Facebook pages and websites that have been created just for anti-Rhonda. Because when you have enemies like that, then you know you're doing something right. I am not bought and paid for. And if anyone knows me, and you can ask anyone who knows me, that I'm no one's puppet. No one can tell me what to do. My vote in the Senate will belong to the people, not the party. If it's against the Constitution, if it's against the will of the people, you don't get my vote. I will say no, and I will stand up to Washington. I have a lot of friends in Washington, trust me. When you get there, it's hard to stand up, but I don't have a problem.
I like the question, because the government broke trust, right? Yesterday, a guy named Howie Rich called me, he's from New York. He's asking candidates to sign the term limits pledge, and I did, and I sent it back to him. I can't come back here unless I did a good job, because you guys would tear me apart if I don't. I don't need this job. Not the hassle, I don't need any of that, right? I'd be happy to retire in the next 5 years. But this country is so devastated that I cannot hand it off to my millennial children for a Republican and feel good about it. Somebody's got to go and stop the spending. Somebody's got to go and train government to really be for the taxpayer first. You're not gonna get me. I'm a guy who, if it comes out of my mouth, I say it. If I'm gonna go fight for you, then I'm fighting for you. Because what's good for you is actually really good for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I was going to say there are the two combat veterans, one's endorsed by Lindsey Graham and Steve Daines. I'm not the one, so you all know who that is. So back in Washington, you've got somebody who's basically the Republican National Senate Committee has decided who the candidate's going to be up there. And these are all better candidates. I would take any one of these candidates over what DC has decided. So think out there, start yelling and screaming and say, we don't want Washington establishment, especially the Republican left, to decide who the senator from the state's going to be. So if you elect me, I will represent you. I will not vote wherever Mitch McConnell wants me to vote. In fact, I won't vote for Mitch McConnell, period.
We're going to open up a little bit of discussion, again, a little bit of follow-up here. We're going to start the 35-second follow-ups, starting with Tony, and then working to end with Stephanie.
Working in DC is really tough because you have to stay focused. But you always have to remember who you're representing. And it's a tireless, thankless job. But you know what's important? What's important is that you have hope and that you have trust in me that I am going to stand on the basis of the Constitution and not stick my finger up and see where the wind is blowing. I'm going to Washington, D.C. to protect the rights of Nevadans and to protect the rights of Americans. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Still just a little rattled because of how much I sacrificed. I mean, death threats. I've had my co-counsel, Mark Angelucci, was murdered because I was exposing the pipeline of human trafficking of children through the CPS system. The people who are in my circle are the real freedom fighters, like Jen Jordan, Byron Donaldson, Roger Stone. Those are the people that are in my circle. Those are the people that I can pick up the phone and call. That's exactly where I will be, and those are the people that I would be with to make sure that we continue to fight and protect America.
What's the question again? Look, I think what it comes down to is that we need to take care of the people in the United States of America first, nowhere else. You know, and I don't like the fact that we're sending money outside of our country before you guys get to feel its effects. Whether that's in infrastructure or whether that's in benefits or whatever it is, we need to be first.
William.
I think I started it, didn't I?
No, Stephanie.
I started. Oh, this is the,
Yeah, this is the 35
Second
second
reply back, yeah. So I was going to say, right out of high school, I was going to enlist in the Marine Corps, and I applied for the Naval Academy, and I ended up at West Point. Long story. But my whole life has been service and duty, my family's service and duty. I was raised by the greatest generation. 5 generations in the military, service and duty. When I got out, I was 9 years active Air National Guard. Then because I got frustrated, I ran for city council, and unfortunately I won. And thank goodness the war came along and got me out of city council after 5 years, 10 months. But service and duty is important to me. I'm 66. I won't serve more than 1, maybe 2 terms. I think you need to come back.
To answer your question some more, I always ask people, I ask people to vet their candidates, and I ask people to vet their candidates and look at the motivation of why they're running. Look at their history. Have they ever voted in Nevada? We have candidates in this race that have never voted in Nevada. We have candidates in this race that used to be a different party and now all of a sudden are Republicans. We have candidates that have just moved here last year and filed for Senate 2 months later don't own homes in Nevada. We have people with different certain, motivations, and I encourage people to really look at your candidate and their background and where their motivation lies, why they're running.
That last segment started with Tony on the 35. Yeah, it started with Tony. Okay, so I want to thank the audience for those questions and contributing to our discussion. In a little bit, we're going to break, but before we do that, I just want to have just one quick round of applause. Rhonda, you're going to end up going first on your closing.
But, however, I'm going to ask this of all fairness, because I've been attacked 3 times by Ms. Phillips. I believe that I need to have an additional time to rebut the personal attacks that I just had from Ms. Phillips. I know you don't have to say any names. I moved back to Nevada in 2022. I'm the only one who moved back here last year.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I moved to Nevada in 2000. From 2000 to 2010, I left Wisconsin because I fled my abusive ex-husband. I came here, made a life for myself, and I left and went to California for work and practiced law there. When I left, I was heavily involved in the Republican Party. When I left, this state was red. When I came back, this state had Sisolak as the governor. My motivation has always been the Constitution and protecting the people. I had 2 choices. I could have come here or I could have gone to Florida. I was actually asked by Roger Stone to go to Florida. I didn't. I came back to Nevada, back where I started, back where my life was, back where my kids graduated from high school. I have 6 kids, including 10-year-old triplets who are here now being raised. So my motivation is to do what I did in the trenches of California, to do that here, because everybody benefited from my cases. 9th Circuit.
Thank you, Rhonda.
And I know people are going to say I'm an angry woman, but I'm very passionate.
Since you mentioned me personally.
Since we allowed you a good 45 seconds on that, I'm going to give Ms. Phillips a 30-second rebuttal. And
Yeah,
then you go
she's
first on
gonna
the
do
closing statements.
You have to look at the voter records of every single candidate, not just the ones up here. Hers shows she just registered to vote in May of this year and has no voting history in Nevada. It looks like the home she lives in is rented and not owned. I can say there's many things with all these candidates. There's mega donors for one of them. They're not you, Bill. They are backed by the DC establishment. I encourage people to truly look at the details of the candidates, look at their history, look how they have voted, and look at what they have vested in Nevada.
Thank you, Stephanie. We're going to go right.
Maybe we should start looking at the Constitution to see what the qualifications are to be a U.S. Senator. Last time I checked, it wasn't that you needed to own a home in the state. You didn't even have to live there, but I live there. So I go by the Constitution, not other people's personal feelings.
Rhonda, we're gonna go into closing statements now. And you are actually up next on that, or first on that. So we're doing 1-minute closing statements for the candidates before we break for an intermission here and as part of the events. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Thank you. I want to say this to everybody here and people that are in the state that will be voting. Ask yourself, do you want a candidate who understands and knows the Constitution? Do you want a candidate who can actually do something and know the limitations of your office and actually already have relationships in DC, including our will-be President Trump, who endorsed me in 2020? Or do you want a candidate who's going to say, this is what I'm going to do? I do have a proven track record. And I get passionate about this because I know the sacrifice that I have made, that my family has made. Everybody says they have a day job. I have a day job as well. I love my day job. That's fighting for constitutional rights in court. I sued Facebook, I sued the government, and I'm also going to be filing on behalf of suing the government for Donald Trump for the gag order as a private citizen.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you all for being here tonight because I had the opportunity to talk with you. This is about beating Jackie Rosen. If we don't beat Jackie Rosen, nothing's going to change. What I would like you to do is think about what candidate can best beat Jackie Rosen. I stand here before you today to tell you that I understand foreign policy. I understand the military instrument of power. I understand strategy. I understand the economic instrument of power. I understand grand strategy. I have the tool set to beat Jackie Rosen because non-traditional Republican voters are going to want to look at me when you vote me to win the primary. So please take a look at that. I'm Tony Grady, running to be your next senator. It was my honor to be here tonight before you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being involved. I really appreciate it. We see such apathy across this country and state, and we have to get involved to save our country. That is the reason I jumped in, is because I got so tired of seeing what the government is doing to us, and we need a fighter to fight back. I am the first ever single mom and real estate broker to ever run for this seat in the state of Nevada. And when I am your senator, Nevada will make history in electing their first female Republican ever to the United States Senate. I plan to fight for you. I will protect children, protect veterans, seniors, Social Security. I have signed the term limits pledge. I have signed the no new tax pledge. I will protect you, fight for this state, and hold DC accountable. Thank you so much. Vote Stephanie Phillips.
So one thing, I want to read two things and read a short statement. First of all, I think why I can win this election is I can work with the libertarians, bring them together so they don't run a candidate against Republicans. That's 2 or 3%. That's enough to win the election for Senate. I think I can do it. I know a lot of libertarians. I like libertarians. I'll be a libertarian Republican. Secondly, I'm going to read the statement real fast. Do you want a candidate supported by the establishment, endorsed by Steve Daines and Lindsey Graham, or do you want a principled conservative combat veteran with a proven voting record who will fight for Nevada every day in the Senate rather than take up the partisan establishment and vote for, of course, the liberal Republican leadership? To learn more about my campaign, please go to electagreemberet.com, electagreemberet.com. And finally, I use a little business reply envelope, a little card here. Check out my website. I do a lot of writing, I do blogging, and there's just a lot of good information on there about principles and liberty. We didn't talk about family values today. I wish we would talk a little bit about that. The traditional family, I believe in.
thank you, Blaine.
Thanks very much. I've had a great time here, and I appreciate you guys coming out. Seeing the new guy with his name falling off and his short mic. So, here's what it is. I started out by saying my candidacy starts with 2 prongs. Taxpayer first and punish government. So I'm going to end with punish government. Inflation starts and ends in Washington, D.C. And I don't know why we didn't get the brunt of inflation and then they come and tax us. We need new thinking in Washington. And the thinking has to be like this. If the government puts inflation on the table where it's like 15%, which is what I think it is in the state of Nevada right now, why don't we offset our tax bracket by 15% and put inflation back on the government? This saves you a lot of money, right? So if you're gonna elect somebody, find an original thinker, find somebody who knows the issues in and out, up and down. Go to nvsenateseat.com. I'm Barry Lindeman. Thank you for your time.
I really want to thank the panel. I want to thank you, United States Senate candidates, each and every one of you. I want to thank the audience for the spirited questions to contribute to this event. Again, we're going to break here in a moment for about 15 minutes before we get to the 9 County Commission candidate panel. Before we do that, I want to just ask for one last round of applause for each and every one of these candidates. And that concludes this section, so feel free to stick around during the intermission and mix and mingle. Thank you, guys.
I am so sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Will did all the electrical circumstances. That's cool. I recognize it from the LinkedIn. But I'm just really curious. You already gave it right, so you did it right. I already
All right, sorry for a quick emergency housekeeping item. It is come to my attention that after checking the men's bathroom directly behind us is locked from the inside. I have no key to open it. There is another auxiliary bathroom that we kind of have permission to use through this hallway for the men. Stage right and follow the corridor around to the right to use the restroom. apologies. We're working on trying to get a hold of building grounds to open up that bathroom.
Really proud of you. For the camera bagger. Get it? Yeah. You need to charge the other one? No, right here. Okay. Well, kids I've had to pull the plug because they said if you get a message in there, yeah, no, what I'm saying is the plug right here. Yeah. But I had to come up here because he said if it gets the signal not charging or low charge, you have to plug it back in. So that one's live. No, but you have to. Yeah, but there was a message, low battery. He said if it ever gets that, come up and pull the plug it back in. It started working. Oh, gotcha. So I guess the charger doesn't. It gets low or it gets hot or something, and you got to plug it back in. Yeah. So to kind of come up here and redo it. So. Well, we got a 12-volt charger and an HDMI. We should be good. We got 160 minutes on the other. We did 2 hours, and we're yeah, put it just in the backup. This is Margaret's camera. Anthony said, "Oh, what do you like that? Why didn't you register for this?" Here we go. Big turnout. It's either right in the set or I have to do this is to run this runs the camera on power. But not the battery charger. We're going to charge your battery up to have a backup battery that runs power into the camera. Well, I don't have a. I'd say, why didn't you run a port back there? Well, we didn't have tripping hazards and all that. Going down the mid arch. Cut it in half. There you go. See, when you get a good sound, touching the door, it's like touching the striper hard.
So I have
So I'm just gonna give like a 1 minute warning to find the seats real quick.
All right, everybody. We're going to resume the events here in about 1 minute, so please find your seats if you can. I know everybody's time is precious, it's getting later, so we're going to jump right back into it in about 1 minute.
Can you do a question and read it off, or do you have to have stand up and?
Well,
Can we bring our water up with us?
sure. I'm gonna go first. Just 2 minutes.
Who's John Worley?
Sharon Worley's son.
Whatever happened to O'Brien?
He is living.
We already have, man. Come on.
There's just a quick announcement here by one of our board members from Grassroots Conservatives in Nevada. I'm giving him the floor to make a quick announcement, and then we'll get right back into panel number 2.
Hello, everyone. Hello. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. I am Anthony Greco, and I am running for Assembly District 36. I've been in the community for 25 years, and I'm known as the corruption fighter. I do not like corruption in my government. The whole government here is not corrupt, but a part of it is, and I will get to the bottom of it. I'm running for Assembly 36 for 1 term, because in 26 I'm running for Commissioner 4. I want term limits. I don't think anybody should be in an office more than 2 years, and if they're there over 20 years, we gotta get them out. We cannot have these people destroying our country over and over and keep putting them back in there. You have to make a change. You have to think of this politician like a dirty diaper. When it stinks, get rid of it. Okay? I am not politically correct, and I never will be. There's a lot of things happen in this community to fight the corruption. You will hear about it during my campaign. If you want to send me any information, talkradio or Pahrump at gmail.com. Thank you.
I want to take this time to welcome our 9th County Commission candidates up to the stage. That's how we do it. All right, again, the candidates are seated, are standing right now in order of their committed participation in this event. From the audiences left to right, we have running for Commission District 2, Dan Blackstone. And now County Commission District 3, Tammy Pittman. And also in the County Commission District 3, John Worley. Welcome and thank you. Thank you for your patience tonight. I know it gets to be a long night when there's multiple panels. Trust me, I have experience in that. So we're moving this right along. So we're going to get right into it. So let's allow each candidate an opening statement of 1 minute. We're going to start from stage right to left. So the audience is left to right. So starting with you, Mr. Blackstone. Give or take. We have a couple extra seconds. It's a smaller panel that goes a tiny bit over.
My name is Dan Blackstone. I am number first, a Christian. Number 2, a conservative. Number 3, a constitutionalist. I'm running for District 2 Commissioner. My wife and I own a business called Blackstone Gun Safety. We've lived here for 5 years. I've had that company for 13 years. We started it in Oregon. I was born and raised in Southern California back when it was a nice state. And I left there in 1987 and moved to Oregon when it was a nice state. And then 5 years ago, over 5 years ago, I packed my little brown paper sack and we moved here to Pahrump. And I love it. I love Pahrump and I love my county.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm Tammy Pittman. I am a veteran. I am a constitutionalist. I am a conservative. And I also am a Christian. I believe it's in the Bible, it's gospel, and you can't pick and choose what's in the Bible. You have to take it wholesale. I really want to keep Nye County as a great place to live, raise a family, and work. I think that's a wonderful place. We moved here 10 years ago, and my mother has since moved here, my sister lives here, and I have no intentions of leaving, and I want to keep it that way. And I was motivated to run because I actually felt the call from the Lord, and here I am. And I've never run before, and I never had ever intentions of running, but I'm a quick learner, and I will do well. Thanks.
Thank you, Tammy. John.
Hi, I'm John Worley. I'm actually a native of Pahrump. I'm also a veteran, Christian, constitutionalist. That goes without saying. I was a Navy corpsman. I was stationed in Naval Hospital, Townhall. I challenged the nursing board, and I went to work for the California Department of Corrections as a medical technical assistant. And then after a 9-year stint, I decided to come to work for the state of Nevada, and I retired state of Nevada police parole probation officer. And I care about this community. I'd like to have a vote. Oh, I'm really not a politician, that's.
Thank you, John. So we're going to move into the grassroots conservatives of Nevada portion of the debate where the questions were vetted and ranked in order here. So question number 1, we're going to start with you, Mr. Blackstone. Affordable energy is a major concern for Nye County residents. In light of the so-called clean energy initiatives Nevada voters chose to enact starting in 2030 and then beyond, what would you like to see done to reduce consumer energy costs and ease the residents' anxieties? And you have a good 1 minute this time here.
I don't really think that I need a full 1 minute. How many of you like your electric bills now? They're awful. And when I was listening to the people running for the Senate, they touched on nuclear energy. I would love to see, and I don't know if it's feasible or not, we need to look at it, but I would like to see a nuclear power plant in Nye County. Why not? We could have great cheap power for Pahrump, for Beatty, for Townhall. I bet you we would have a lot of excess to even sell to Clark County, and we could really sell it to California. That's at the top of my list for energy.
Thank you, Dan. Now we're to Tammy. Same question.
When we lived in Vermont, we had actually a hydroelectric dam right in town, and we bought hydroelectric from Quebec and quite a few other types of electricity. And wind, and it didn't work, and the solar works, but it only gives you 52% of the power you need. So yes, nuclear is huge. I know that people are concerned about the nuclear power rods coming through town because and burying them out at the Yucca Mountain. I've learned that there's actually a way to recycle those rods, and if we put in a plant here in town, it would be jobs, or in Nye County, jobs for people here, and we could recycle them, and we could have free electric power forever.
Thank you, Tammy. To you, John.
Please repeat the question.
Sure, no problem. Affordable energy is a major concern for Nye County residents. In light of the so-called clean energy initiatives Nevada voters chose to enact in 2030 and beyond, what would you like to see done to reduce consumer energy costs and ease the residents' anxieties?
Not make deals with solar companies that give their energy to California and other states besides our own. That would be good. Or just pass through solar. I like the nuclear idea that Dan had. We got a big old test site right over there that's already contaminated in areas. And nobody can really do anything with that land once they get done doing their testing. It'd be a good place to put it. Most of that's in Nye County. That's all I got.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. And now we're going to do follow-ups. We have a little bit longer than 30 seconds this time. We're going to go for about 45 seconds on each of these follow-ups, starting again with you, Dan.
Tammy, you were dead on as far as recycling the rods. It can be done. It's not being done because of the federal government is stopping it from being done. Because our federal government is pandering to the Green New Deal. They think that once the rods are used, they cannot be used again, and that's wrong. And nuclear power is quite safe compared to what it used to be. I mean, we don't have 3 Mile Island. We've learned a lot. A lot of people don't realize there's a nuclear power plant right in the middle of Phoenix, and it's doing a good job. There's
Oh, just as a quick housekeeping item, when Stephanie puts up the hand, she's giving you kind of like a 5-second until it's done. I apologize. I should have made that more clear to each of the candidates. So that's kind of like the segue to kind of start wrapping up a bit, but not completely cutting you off. But Tammy, do you want to follow up on that as well now?
Another option to piggyback on the solar would be solar on the roofs of all of the commercial buildings in this town, like owned by VEA, and then we could make our own electricity, because we don't make anything right here. We make zero electricity in this town.
Thank you. Did you want to follow up as well, John?
No.
We're gonna get an extra question in there. Okay. So moving on to question number 2. For a few years now, our local jail has housed ICE detainees for the federal government. Nearly 1/2 of the available beds are reserved for immigration detainees, most of whom are transported to our community regularly. Officials say it can be a moneymaker as long as the occupancy is high. Let us know your thoughts on this and why you support or oppose Pahrump housing undocumented immigration detainees. Starting with Tammy, actually, this time, for the first response.
It might sound like a great idea, but why are we housing any undocumented aliens? We need to put them on a plane and send them back. I'd be the first one to help them raise money by yard sales and bake sales to send them back home.
John, you have up to
Well, I support it, and I support it for this reason. It's not just that easy to put on a plane and send them back to where they came from. They all are from Mexico, or from other countries as well. They have to be housed somewhere. Las Vegas is the courthouse that some of them go to. It makes sense for Nye County to make some money to help supplement our budget for the sheriff's office and other county entities. And that's why I support it.
Thank you, John. Dan.
I agree with Tammy. There's illegal aliens should not be here, period. And you know, all my life I've heard every politician say, we're going to close the border, we're going to stop it, we're going to send them back, we're going to do da 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 da, and it doesn't get it done. The closest thing that came to it was Trump, and that's what needs to happen.
Thank you. So now we're moving to some of the, if you wanted to elaborate on that or any other aspects of that, 45-second rebuttals or responses, starting with you, Tammy.
The cost to put someone on a plane with an air marshal is still gotta be cheaper than housing them for a year or 6 months or even a couple of months. So I think getting them out of there and sending them back home is the way to go.
Thank you, Tammy. John, anything to add?
Nothing other than they have to have the hearing before they go. And you just can't throw them on a plane. They need their due process.
Okay, Dan, finishing up the last 45-second bit there.
I don't know why it would be that hard to send them back. It appears to me, and I haven't seen this personally, but I've heard that there's people being dropped off here that appear to be illegals with their backpacks on, and they're coming from Clark County.
Yeah.
And they're sending them in, I think, it might even drop them off at Dallas, at least that's what I'm hearing. And I guess my question was, is why can't do it unless it's send them back there?
That's right. That's right.
And I think they're doing it.
Thank you, guys. It's going to close out discussion on that question. We're going to move to another one here. Question number 3 from our GCON group. By any subjective or objective measure, it's plain to see homelessness is a major issue in the Pahrump Valley. What are your thoughts and plans on addressing this before it becomes a crisis? I'm going to start. Tammy, you can leave that one off. I think you haven't had a chance to leave yet. Or did you? I'm sorry, you did. Oh, I apologize. John Worley, can you leave that one off?
Well, I think that it's already a crisis in Pahrump with homelessness. It's a crisis, and I say that because we have homeless people taking over properties that people aren't living on, namely Binions. There's a number of camps on Binion's place that homeless people are living at all the time. People are on the fan, and it's a problem that needs to be taken care of. The biggest problem with homelessness is it's really the ultimate freedom when it comes to homelessness. Because let me explain why I say that. Because they don't have any rules to live by. Other than if they don't break the laws, if the sheriff's office has to enforce all that, then they're free and clear. If they go into a house or a home, that house or home has rules they have to live and say that house says you can't smoke or drink, and that's what they want to do. They're not gonna have, they'll remain homeless. Mental health issues are a big part of being homeless too.
Thank you for that, John. Now to Dan.
The homeless situation already is a crisis, and it has been since biblical times. And if you look back, I mean, the Bible talks about it, Christ talked about it. The homeless you're always going to have them. And when I first got here, Pahrump being a smaller town than it is compared to where I lived, I went to our pastor, the church that I was going to, and I said, "Have you tried to help the homeless at all?" And he said, "Yes, I have." And he said, "We have been out, we have talked with them." And he said, "Dan, you're not going to believe this, but 80–90% of them just want to be just where they are. They like not having rules, they like just living the way they want to live." So yes, it is a problem. I know that it is being addressed. I'm part of a men's group called Iron Sharpens Iron. And we have a pastor and some other guys in that group that are working with the homeless to try to help them.
Yes, and now we're going to move to a quick discussion on that question. We'll follow. Oh, I'm sorry, Tammy. Sorry. I'm sorry. Tammy.
Hi, John's correct, there's actually a consortium of churches, and I've been attending their meetings, and they are working to help the homeless. There is a problem. You have to determine whether they want to remain homeless or they want to change. So a hand up or a hand out. Giving them a hand up is one thing, and I'm very for it. The churches can figure out what it is they need, whether it's drug or alcohol rehab, whether it's retraining so they can get some education and actually be able to support themselves. And this is something that they're working on, but having those relationships with them and being able to earn that trust so that they finally can, whether, but there's some who will stay homeless the rest of their lives.
Thank you. We're going to keep going in line. John, if you wanted to add anything to what you said before, 45 seconds.
Mental health issues in my county aren't really being handled straightforwardly. It's really hard for the mental health, people that have mental health problems to get that care that they need. It's not just as simple as, hey, go to mental health Southern Nevada. Unfortunately, if you're not a resident of Clark County, mental health of Southern Nevada has a problem helping you because they are just focused on Clark County.
Thank you, John. Dan?
You're right, John. Mental health is a big issue, it's a big problem, and I haven't seen it handled well anywhere. The other thing too is that I have now, but I know people that have interviewed some of the homeless people, and they've asked them, well, why did you come here from Clark County? And the Clark County people are telling them that we're going to send you to Pahrump because they have better services for you. And they buy it.
Tammy?
Building the rapport, having the chaplains that go out and work with the homeless to find out where the disconnect is and who needs mental health care, I think is key. And then having rapport with people, the organizations that can help and they can be referred. It's going to be a long process, but I think there's hope. And I think our churches need to be the key point. And there was days gone by, family and churches took care of the indigent and the homeless, and we need to get back to that. Big government only makes things worse. They take a lot of money and they do less with it.
Thank you, Tammy. We're going to do a fourth question, and then we're going to get to the town hall questions here real quick on this question. So the balance The balance between maintaining our rural lifestyle while promoting healthy growth in our county continues to be an important issue here, and especially in Pahrump. What is your feeling on incorporation of Pahrump? What is your big picture plan for supporting healthy, balanced growth? We're going to have the question back to you, Dan, for the first answer to that one.
Incorporating just increases overhead. I've been self-employed for 40 years. I run businesses, mine and others. And I think there's a statute or a law somewhere, once you hit 100,000, you have to incorporate. Then you gotta have a mayor, you gotta have staff, and you're still gonna have your commissioners. So it's, all it's gonna do is increase overhead, cost more money. Part of the question?
Your big picture plan for supporting healthy, balanced growth.
Pahrump is going to grow. There's no way to stop it. Actually, it's not all bad. Some, if it gets too big, it can be. If it's not, I don't think it's going to be in our near future. We'd be nice to have, as it gets bigger, we get other facilities, you know, other companies coming in, Costco, etc. We'll talk more.
Thank you, Dan. Tammy.
Can you repeat the first part of the question?
Sure. The balance between maintaining our rural lifestyle while promoting healthy growth.
Incorporation, yeah, okay, I remember that. Thank you. I'm not for incorporation. I mean, how many women go to the Marine Corps? Not too many. I'm sort of, I like things a little bit, what's the word? I like the cowboy way I like here, and I really enjoy the way it is. And yes, you agree, it would cost an entire another level of government, and there goes your taxes. So no, I'm not for incorporation. As far as keeping it a better place to live, one of the things I'm concerned about is our development plan for this county is woefully outdated. I know they need to work on it. And our impact fees, so that when they build new neighborhoods, they're not funding the roads, drainage, the water, the sewer, the schools, the EMS, and I'm missing something, fire, all of those things. So the impact fees need to be addressed, and they need to be significantly more than what they are right now.
Thank you, Ms. Taunton. Thank you. John?
I'm against incorporation. That's a big word. I'm against incorporation because that would probably double the tax base. I'm sure people from bigger cities want to live here, but that's what I see. And the second part of the question was?
Your big picture plan for supporting healthy but balanced growth.
Healthy and balanced growth would include a better infrastructure than we have now, roads and water, sewer programs and stuff like that. And also I'd like to see newer, bigger companies come in town and to help support those things.
Thank you. So we're going to have a follow-up period of 45 seconds to add anything to that. Tammy, we're going to start with you on that.
Actually, having talked with a few people who are on the planning commission, and I know this is something that's near and dear to their heart as well. So keeping our impact fees in line with what really is driven when we build and build and build. We have only so much water, and it's a precious commodity. So we have to be very frugal and cognizant of what when we grow, and we're going to have to actually come up with ways to either be more water efficient or stop the growth. Those are our two options. You can't manufacture it.
And thank you, Tammy. John, for some follow-up.
Right,
Thank you, sir. We're going to go back to you, Dan, for your opportunity to follow up on that.
One of the questions that I have running out of water, but are we really? I don't know. And I don't have anybody that's able to really tell me that. If we are running out of water, it can be a serious problem. But I question if we are. That has a lot to do with the roads. Probably the main thing. Impact fees and stuff that Tammy talked about. When I was in Oregon before, I was in the gun business. I was a land developer and real estate broker for 23 years. When you talk about impact fees, Oregon was terrible.
Thank you, candidates. That's going to conclude the portion of the grassroots conservatives questions. We're going to go right into the town hall portion of the questions. So the first question, if Lou Baker is here, Lou, you have the first question.
Yeah, I want to know what you're going to do about the infrastructure that we currently have here in Pahrump. This road out here on Basin, for example, has been under construction for over a year. They keep putting it up, they keep putting new things in, taking dirt out, putting it back. And we talk about some of these other events here in Wilson and other streets and infrastructure. That doesn't include any of the new potential people coming into the county. Oh, okay. It doesn't include the current needs here. What are you going to do in terms of the infrastructure here existing in Pahrump that needs to be taken care of?
Also, on that question, I'm sorry. I was still digesting a bit of that. Tammy, you're up to go first if you can do 1 minute on that.
Having attended a couple of the commissioners' meetings, I hear we've made great strides on Basin and now it's waiting for a striping. We did it in-house to save a significant amount of money doing that. But the county is huge. There are so many roads in this county that are in dire need of repair. And unfortunately, when they did all of the work in-house, it saved us a lot of money, but the whole team was, or a good chunk of the team was working on that. So honestly, you have to increase taxes, which is ugly. So being very patient and actually doing a really good job the first time instead of having developers build substandard roads so that we end up having to fix it later and fix it and fix it and fix it is the way to do it. Do it right the first time. Right now that we're getting substandard roads and our poor roads department is paying the price.
And John, the next is to you, and yeah, just go ahead. You have 1 minute to respond to that as well.
The majority of the roads that are in Pahrump right now were built by preferred equities in the 70s. And yeah, they're getting old, they're getting decrepit, they need to be fixed. And I think that the road department right now is doing a good job of repairing what is 30-something years old. And I mean by repairing is like what they did with Basin and Front Valleys, where they took the whole road up and they repacked it and everything else. We got to remember that they're not in the road building business, they are in the maintaining business. And how we get past into making new roads is a challenge.
And Dan?
I don't know if I actually agree with you, John, on that. Again, as a land developer, I had to put roads in, and you can do them pretty fast. It amazes me at how long it takes them to get something done. And Basin being chewed up was just ridiculous. And from my understanding, they couldn't get anybody to do asphalt. I just don't buy that. And again, because I've done it. Some of the roads around here are really bad. Now, whether you want to tear that up and redo the whole road or do a chip seal, there's a huge difference in cost. If it's really bad, it has to be completely tore up and go down and rebuilt. But you're right. And then I missed the commissioners meeting on Tuesday. I started watching it on the video, and can't remember the man's name who's in charge of the road, crew messed up, but the commissioners were reaming him pretty good. Good job not getting done.
John, you're the first one for a 45-second follow-up if you want to piggyback on that.
No, I haven't done anything to that.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to go back to you, Dan, if you want to expand a little bit.
I was finished.
We'll move it.
We have something here called. Yeah. And so you have to get all the way down to solid base rock before you can actually build a road. If you ever drove down Calvada after they resurfaced it and they didn't get down through the poof dirt, it turned into a washboard, it's like going like this. And so they just threw all that money away. So if they didn't go all the way down to the base and where they can put in real rock, you end up with the same problem. So that's why I think that basin took forever, and so did Pahrump NV Boulevard. But it was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Thank you, Tammy. I'll let you reclaim, since you deferred, if you'd like to chip in now. Dan.
That's, it's not that hard to build a road. Whenever the monsoon hit a couple of years back and it washed out 160 up there, that road got rebuilt fast. And they were raring to get it done. That's what it takes, get the job done. And if I'm elected, that's one of the things I had to look at, because I think there's just some management issues.
All right, that wraps up question number one. I appreciate that, Dan. We're going to move to question number two from the audience. Bob Adams. Here, Bob. Coming on down.
When are we going to finish the fairgrounds?
So, yeah, that's the extent of the question. First response for up to 1 minute goes to you, John, on that. Up to you.
Have they started yet?
Okay. I wish I could add. Okay. So we're gonna head back to you on that, Dan. Same question.
I don't have a clue.
Dan.
I don't think they've started, but I will say that every penny that we're getting with grants is coming out of our pockets. Grants aren't free money. So if we don't really need it, we shouldn't be building it.
All right, so with the follow-up, point taken on your first answer, so I'll elaborate on my own little follow-up on that. And you probably know which way the wind's blowing on this one, but what are your general feelings on when grant money does enter into our county and we have a pretty lenient idea of how, or we can pick how we want to spend it? What would be, say, your number one priority, or is something near the very top? So we'll go with Dan actually gets the follow-up to start that.
The roads.
Yes.
And then pass the money on to the nuclear power plant we're gonna build.
All right, Tammy, you're up.
I agree, but I'd also want to take the extra money and put it in for businesses, small businesses.
All right. So that's going to be back to you, John, if you wanted to add anything on that at all.
I would say infrastructure and mental health care.
All right, appreciate that. So we're going to close out that question and go to another audience question here. So we're going to go to Nancy Yanda. Nancy.
Well, I know we were allotted some federal money, and I just want to know where that is going to go to.
Are you asking the panel to answer that, or to where they would want to spend it if they had the
Yeah,
ability to
if you
influence.
were a commissioner, where would you want that money to go to?
That question actually is going to go to you first, Dan.
There's the Commissioner Ron, whatever his name, I can't pronounce his last name. Yeah, he actually sent out a email, text message and stuff, and he said we were getting $12 million from the federal government with no allocation home. He said it could go wherever we wanted to go. And so he was asking the people to give him ideas. And I personally think that's a good idea. Where do you want it to go? Because if I'm elected, I represent you, not the county. You.
Thank you, Dan.
I agree, but they're actually doing that. There's an open meeting that they've asked people to come to give their ideas where they want to spend money.
What is that?
I don't have my phone with me. Electronic brain.
Thank you, Tammy. John?
I would agree that, ask my constituents of where they would like the money to go and make a determination from there.
Thank you, John. Tammy, you would be up on a 45-second.
Really not much more to say, just have an open meeting, town hall kind of meeting for people to come and give their opinions.
Back to you, John.
No,
Yeah. Good. All right, we're moving on. We're going to get at least one more question in here before we start wrapping it up for us. So, next question, Melissa Magallanes. I'm sorry, Melissa.
It's all right,
What's your
I
last name?
I just got here from California and I immediately started going to Valley Electric, the meetings. And what I saw there, just in my first meeting that I went to, I was disgusted. This is the kind of stuff that I saw in California. And, I know it's a large entity and I really don't want to hear, well, that's the state or that's the city or it's there's nothing. No, really there's whoever candidate win, you can interject yourself in some way, even if it's your voice. Even loud enough because there's people in there that, it is just getting worse. And I know a lot of people feel it here. And if you go to the meetings, which I urge everyone here to go to, because they are not going to ease what you're paying. It's going up. And it's going to continuously go up. And they are going to do solar. And they got grants, they've been accepted for grants. And guess where the rest of the money's coming from? And, the reason why I started going is because of, I've been hearing a lot about alleged corruption. But in the times that I've gone there, which is twice because I haven't been here that long, I have my own opinions about that. Because the stuff that I heard coming out of there was unbelievable. And I really hope that you guys, or whoever it is, starts interjecting themselves in some way and start looking at what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Tammy, you get to address that comment/question. You're up first.
Back when, what was the name of the gentleman who? Houston left and just went south of the border. I was very angry at VEA, so I actually started attending the meetings and I actually got on a committee because I believe if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I think everybody should start going to the meetings. That VEA belongs to all of us. It's a not-for-profit. And honestly, and if we don't actually take ownership and we don't give our opinions and go and listen and hear what's going on, we're part of the problem. I don't know exactly what you're seeing because you didn't say what you're seeing. I'd love to hear it. But at this point, it's really and truly, everybody should be going. That's my question. That's my statement. Everybody needs to go to meetings.
Thank you, Tammy. To you, John.
Well, to be honest, I've never been to a Valley Electric meeting. So I don't know what goes on. Maybe I should. And my understanding is we the people are all in that co-op whether we want to or not because we don't have any other choice other than Valley Electric. I'd like to see that we change it.
Okay, back to you, John, or Dan, sorry.
Got rid of California. I've never been to a VEA meeting either because from what I understand, it gets so violent over there, I'm afraid people will start shooting each other. In August, I got sick and tired of fighting this VA about my poor internet. 5 years ago when I moved here, it was great, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and finally I've had enough. I had him come out, asking him to move the antenna around because my house was the only one pointing south, all the others are pointing north. I said, why is that? He couldn't answer it. Anyway, I kind of got fed up. I packed up all my stuff and I took it into VA at the end of August. And I said, we're done. Do I owe you any money? The gal pulled up. She says, no, your account is zero. I said, great, thank you. And she said, oh, by the way, if you get a bill, don't pay it. I thought that's kind of weird.
Go ahead, because we can actually start with you for the follow-up, so you can actually go ahead and
I
for 45 seconds.
So I got a bill the second month for like $31 for like half of it. So I called them on the phone and I say, what is going on? And I explained to them and they said, well, we pull up your account. Your account shows zero. I said, why did I get the bill? We don't know. A couple of days later, I got another bill, exactly like the other one. And so I just ignored that one. So this month I got another bill for 95 cents. And I sent them a nice little love note when I mailed the bill back to them. And they sent me a whole bunch of stuff that says, I owe 95 cents. So you're right, VEA is a mess. We built our power plant and shut it down and fire all of them in jail.
All right, Tammy, you got a 45-second follow-up, same topic. Good luck.
VEA was run into the ground by the previous administration to the point where it was almost all bank owned. There's a lot of work that's been done, there's still a lot more to go. But if you don't get involved, you can't be part of the solution.
Thank you, Tammy. John?
Like Dan, we had 5 years ago, the internet was perfect, ran real good. Since then, it went downhill. I can hook up maybe 2 computers and not have lag. I say lag because I'm a gamer and what lag is, your character is still, whatever. But so we got tired of that. We went to Starlink, I haven't had any problems. I'm not really Starlink spokesman or anything. But I got a bill from Valley Electric, $31. Paid it. I got a letter back that says, hey, you got a $31 credit, what do you want us to do with it? I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer, put it on the electric bill. But, you know, that's just a story. Anyway, that's all I got.
Appreciate it, John. So we're gonna, out of the respect of the time and the audience out here, we're gonna move into closing statements from the candidates. So we should have gotten through some more questions, but we're gonna go ahead and allot up to a minute and a half on these closing statements, so 90 seconds or so. If you want to take this time to just, and also allow the voters to kind of hear ways to get a hold of you, ways to get into contact. I know the cycle's very early, but in Nye County, we start early, we get involved in politics early. So we're gonna start the closing statements actually with you, John.
Okay, well, I actually brainstormed a little bit before I got here, so I didn't memorize anything. I think bringing new companies and infrastructure, the care of wild horses, burros, and turtles and their habitat, and solar are a major concern. Most importantly are the mental health challenges of our citizens and not being addressed straightforwardly as they should be. There are many reasons for this. We need to break down those barriers and not only focus on health care, but mental wellness also. We need a public health and wellness act. Mental health and addiction and other behavioral challenges are robbing our citizens of their lives and robbing us collectively of the kind of future we deserve. Our goal should be simply wellness for everyone in Nye County. Working together, there is no limit on what we can accomplish for the people of Nye County. I stand against division or one built on fear. I will always invite scrutiny of my work as a public official. Let us always work together. I stand opposed to cynicism and tearing each other down. I believe an elected official must represent the thoughts and wishes of those who elect them. Let us look forward to working together through these challenges. Let us build a stronger Nye County.
Thank you, John. And Dan.
I have never run for a public office. I have never had a desire to run for a public office. I am not a politician. I am a businessman. And that's how I will look at things. I didn't really seek this out. I had people come to me. At the beginning of the year, I had a person contact me on the internet and ask me if I would run for commissioner. My answer was no. I'm not a politician. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And a couple of months later, I got asked again by a different, completely person. And it kind of surprised me because my answer again was the same. No, I'm not a politician. Don't want to have anything to do with it. And then I got asked by the person at the Fall Fest, would you consider running? No, I'm not a politician. I'm not going to have anything to do with it. And this person sent me an email. So would you please reconsider? You have good wisdom, good experience, common sense. You're not a politician, and we need that. And then he said, would you pray about it? And I did. And I had peace. My wife keeps asking me if she could get peace. So that's where I come from. I will operate as a businessman.
Thank you.
I too have never run for office before and never had ever an inkling. And if you talk to any of my family and ask them if they ever thought I would run, they would have looked at you like you had two heads. Here I am. And when I told my husband I was considering running, he didn't say no. He said, what do we need to do? I have a wonderful, wonderful partner and business manager and campaign manager. Supports me. We're both veterans. Been here 44 years. I'm diligent. I am trustworthy. I am conservative, and I will do what you all want me to do, what's best for Nye County, not what's best for me.
Thank you, Tammy. I just want to say that this was a really fun panel. You guys all did a great job, and it's been an honor to moderate this debate with you guys, especially now with the U.S. Senators. I want to thank you all. Can we just get a quick round of applause for all of our panelists? And I especially want to thank you, audience, for your patience, for your questions, for your participation. Thank you to all of our gracious candidates. Everyone did great. I want to personally thank everyone here for attending this inaugural event. We hope to do it again soon. Staying involved and being an informed voter is so crucial. Don't be afraid to mix politics in your polite conversations, everybody. Let's do our best to keep our constitutional republic alive and well. On behalf of Grassroots Conservatives of Nevada and the Nevada Patriot Podcast, God bless you. Good night. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Is this still on? Yep. They were just trying to get on the walls. This is yours. You need to put it in the case with this.